Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you guys are good. Today we will be talking about some more NUST entry test past paper questions from the math section. Today we will be discussing the 20th chapter, that is Quadratic Inequalities. So let's get started. Alright, okay, so before talking about the past paper questions, before discussing the past papers, let's just have a quick overview about the contents of this chapter. All right, so we will be talking about quadratic inequalities, right? So we would be talking about inequalities and the functions would be quadratic. You can think about it this way. All right, so let's get started. Now, this is an inequality and the function is quadratic. Let's see how to simplify quadratic inequalities or how to solve quadratic inequalities. Okay, so first of all, you need to just factorize this the way we do it usually. And your factors would be x plus 2 and x minus 3. If you are not comfortable with this concept and if you're not familiar with this, you can just ask me. You would basically be using middle term breaking to get from here to here, right? All right, so this thing should be clear. Okay, once you have the factors, this thing is less than 0, that is given in the question. We are not saying that on our own. All right, then firstly, we need to equate it to 0, and this would give you x equals minus 2 and x plus 3. Now, what are we doing exactly? The question would be that you need to solve any inequality. If it is a linear inequality, it would be easy. If it is a quadratic inequality, things would be a bit challenging. So, first of all, we need to plot the graph. Now, it is totally up to you, whatever way you are comfortable. You can either find the values of x where y is 0 and then make the graph, or if you have some other method you can just make the graph. Once you have the graph, then I'll tell you how to do it. Okay, so this is going to be the graph of this quadratic function. All right, now the inequality was x squared minus x less than 0. This was less than 0. Think about it as if you had y equals x squared x minus 6. If this is less than 0, it means y is less than 0. This implies y is less than 0. When is y less than 0? Y is less than 0 for all these values. So for all these values of y, what are the x values? This is the x value. This is like this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, this one, this one, this one, and so on, right? So we can clearly see that whenever your y is less than 0, y would basically be negative. So we will be talking about all the values of x corresponding to these points. So the values of x are between minus 2 and 3. So the answer is going to be x is greater than minus 2 and it is less than 3. This is going to be your answer. Okay, I repeat, we are talking about quadratic inequalities. Okay, this 20th chapter or the second last chapter is about quadratic inequalities. So this time around we won't be dealing with equations, we will be dealing with inequalities. How would you know if it is an inequality or not? Through this sign. Okay, if you have greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to sign, it means that it is an inequality. If the function has 2 here in the power, if the degree is 2, it would be quadratic. So this is how any quadratic inequality look like. How do we solve them? Always remember, first step should be plotting the graph whatever way you're comfortable with. Method is your choice in NET. you would just be choosing one correct answer. I know students, they have their own methods. I'm fine with all of those methods. That is completely okay. Just make the graph, okay? If any one of you does not know how to make the graph right now, I can tell you. I'll just wait for some time. You can just comment in the comment box, then I can explain you how to make the graph. Otherwise, if you know how to make the graph, so the graph is plotted. This was the question. Think about it as if you had y equals this. If this part is less than 0, then y would also be less than 0. When your y is less than 0, we will be talking about this lower part of the graph, and for all the lower points, the values of x are staying between -2 and 3. So this is going to be the answer of your inequality, okay? Whenever you have some equation, you end up giving the answer as x equals -2, x equals 3. Whenever you have an inequality, it would be a range of answer. Okay, so let's talk about the second example now. Okay, now imagine you have this. Again, this is an inequality, and it is a quadratic inequality because the degree of your function is 2. Okay, again, think about it as if you had an equation, because step 1 is to make the graph. In order to make the graph, we need these two x-intercepts. That is why we think about it as if it was an equation. So we write it down as -x squared plus 4 equals 0, and then x squared minus 4 equals 0, and this would give you x plus 2 and x minus 2 using the quadratic formula a squared minus b squared. Like this is this is an identity. This is equal to a plus b and then a minus b, and then it would give you x equals -2 and x equals 2. Okay, now once you have x equals -2 and x equals 2, this is your original function. Minus x squared would be something of this type. When you are moving it 4 units above, it would be starting from this point. Okay, so this would be the graph of minus x squared plus 4. Without any doubt, this point is -2 and this point is 2. Alright, okay, this thing is clear. Perfect. Now, how do we solve the inequality? Okay, the inequality was less than 0, so it is x squared minus x squared plus 4 less than 0. So again, we will be talking about these values of y. For these values of y, we will be talking about these points. And if you look at the values of x, we are going to the left side and we are going to the right side. So here we have x is greater than 2, and here we have x is less than -2. Okay, now if I need to write this as a combined answer, I would be writing it as this, right? So we can have a continuous solution, we can also have a solution with discontinuity. That is completely fine. Okay, all right. So I am going to repeat this example quickly just so we are clear with this. What is happening over here? We had a quadratic inequality. Step 1 is to think about it as an equation and make the graph. This is how you get the graph. If you have any confusions with the plotting of the graph, just stop me right now and explain you. Once the graph is there, now you need to think about the inequality you had. This was the inequality. So think about it as if you had y equals minus x squared plus 4. Since this part is less than 0, y would also be less than 0. So we would be talking about all the negative values of y, which are corresponding to these values of x and these values of x. Okay, so this is x greater than 2 and this is x less than -2, and if I combine the solutions, I can write it as this: x is less than -2 or x is greater than 2. So this is going to be your answer, right? So obviously quadratic inequalities are different. I do understand that linear inequalities are very easy, and if we compare them, when we talk about quadratic inequalities, things are not direct. You need to either memorize it, you can just make a few cases and memorize it, or you can just think about it using the graph. I would always suggest using the graph because that makes more sense, and there's no point in memorizing a lot of stuff because you already know for NET you will be memorizing a lot of things, right? All right, so that is it. This was a quick overview about the contents of this chapter. Let's talk about the questions now. Okay, now this chapter is basically about quadratic inequalities, but here you will get to see multiple questions of this type. Why? Because how do we solve mod inequalities? We solve mod inequalities or modular equations. How do we solve them? By taking square on both sides, right? So this happens. So let's do it that way. I can write this as, let me write it here. I'll be squaring both sides, and this would give me x minus 5 whole squared less than 81. Now I can just get rid of the square here by taking under root on both sides. So what am I going to get? Okay, I would get x minus 5 less than 9, and when I would get a minus 9 over there, the sign of inequality would change. This would be my first inequality, and the second one is going to be, I'll write it on top of it, x minus 5 is greater than minus 9. So these are my two inequalities. I will repeat this, just don't worry, okay? If your question is a linear inequality, things are very easy. You can do it directly, and there's no point in wasting time and thinking about it, right? If it is a quadratic inequality, you will be making the graph and then things would make sense. If it is a modular inequality, when I say modular inequality, you would be having these two straight brackets. These are not brackets, this is the mod function. In order to solve these inequalities, you will be squaring both sides and you will get rid of mod, and then it is completely your choice. Either you can just think about it as a quadratic inequality and just expand this and do it that way, or you can convert this one inequality into two inequalities. You will see the answer is going to be same. Okay, we have been talking about quadratic inequalities. This time around I wanted to convert one quadratic inequality to two linear inequalities, just so we are able to solve the questions through a variety of methods. Okay, so this would give you x is greater than minus 9 plus 5. So it would give you x is greater than minus 4, and then x is less than 9 plus 5. So this would give you x is less than 14. When I will combine both the answers, this is going to give me, obviously B is not the answer, C is not the answer, because we do not have infinity. We can write it as x is greater than minus 4 and it is less than 14. So we are staying between minus 4 and 14, right? Okay. This is not the answer because minus 4 and 14 are not included. This is just inequality. We are not saying less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. No. We're just saying less than and greater than. Okay. So the answer is going to be A in this case. What is the difference in A and D? In A, the values are between minus 4 and 14, and in D, minus 4 and 14 are part of the solution, which is not the case. Okay. When you have this sign and this sign, it means you're staying between minus 4 and 14. Okay, so I repeat, this chapter is about quadratic inequalities. The very first question did not have a square anywhere, but it had the mod function. In order to solve the mod function, you can convert it to a quadratic function by squaring both sides. This is what you will get once you have converted your mod function to a quadratic function. Now, you have two ways to solve this. Method 1 is to just expand this x minus 5 square and then just make the graph and then do it. Method 2 is just convert this one quadratic inequality into two linear inequalities and then solve it directly. Now, I have explained both the cases. You can think about both of them and then just go with any method you get comfortable with, right? With time. All right. Okay. So let's talk about the next question then. This was the first one. Okay. This is your second question. Let's see how to solve this one. Okay. Solution set of 5 minus 2 by x mod less than 1. Again, you cannot see a square anywhere, but still this question is from the 20th chapter that has questions from the topic quadratic inequalities. Where is the quadratic part? The quadratic part is not there right now. The quadratic part would come once you convert this modular inequality to a quadratic inequality by squaring both sides. Okay, so I can think about it as 5 minus 2 by x, and I can square the side. Less than 1 square is 1, right? Now I can just get rid of, either I can get rid of the square or I can expand it and then do it. So I'll just get rid of the square, and when I will get rid of the square, I would get two linear inequalities. How? The first one would be this directly, 5 minus 2 by x less than 1. This is the first one. And the second one would be 5 minus 2 by x would be greater than minus 1. This is going to be your second linear inequality. So we had one quadratic inequality and I have converted that to two linear inequalities. Okay, then how do we simplify this? Now, I can think about one as 5 minus 1 less than 2 by x. So this would give me 4 less than 2 by x. So x would be less than 1 by 2. And then I am going to have 5 plus 1 and then greater than 2 by x. So it would give me 6 greater than 2 by x, and this would give me x greater than 1 by 3. Now it's very simple. X is greater than 1 by 3 and it is less than 1 by 2, and we only have values between 1 by 3 and 1 by 2, right? That is 1 by 3 and 1 by 2 are not included. So we would be going with the soft brackets and the answer is going to be C. Now, the best thing about NET is that you would only be talking about MCQs. Once you say MCQs, it means that you can just cross out the wrong options and go with the right one. This cannot be the choice. This cannot be the choice. Again, what is the difference in A and C? The difference in A and C is that in A you have square brackets, and square brackets imply that the upper and lower bounds, that is 1 by 3 and 1 by 2, would be included in the interval, which is not the case, right? So that is why the answer is C. Okay, let's talk about the third question now. Here it is. Okay, now again we have an inequality and it has mod. So I can write it as 2x minus 3 squared greater than or equal to 1, and I can think about it as I'll convert this one inequality to 2x minus 3 greater than equal to 1. This can be your first one, a second one, and the other one would be 2x minus 3 less than or equal to minus 1. Alright, okay. Now I repeat. This is the question. Step 1 is to convert this modular inequality into a quadratic inequality by squaring both sides. This is what you have. Now you have two choices. Either expand 2x minus 3, make the graph and then do it, or convert. I've explained that in the above two examples, okay? Or convert this one quadratic inequality into two linear inequalities. How? I will just take under root on both sides. It would give me plus minus 1. For plus 1, it would stay as it is. For minus 1, the inequality sign would change. Now, I'm just supposed to simplify it. So, let's just do that. Equation 1 implies 2x is less than equal to 2. So, x would be less than equal to 1. And equation number 2, inequality number 2 implies 2x is greater than equal to 4. So x would be greater than equal to 2. Alright, now you can see one thing, that we are getting a very different type of an answer, right? It says x is less than or equal to 1, and then x is greater than equal to 2. So that can happen. It is absolutely okay to get such an answer. If I explain this on a number line, it would be this is 1 and this is 2. X is less than 1. So we are talking about all these points till minus infinity. And if I talk about this solution, so here we have x greater than equal to 2. So we would be talking about all of these. So this implies that the answer is going to be, is it A? No, because A is only covering the first part. Is it B? No, because it is only covering the second part. Is it C? No, because it says the intersection of both the solutions and we do not have any intersection. Is it D? Certainly it is D, because all the other options are wrong, and it makes sense because first part is from minus infinity to 1, the second part is from 2 to infinity, and we have a union of both the solutions. That is why 3 is the correct answer. Alright, let's talk about the fourth question quickly. Now, this is a bit complicated. I'll explain this in detail. It would take time. So please pay attention. Alright, now it says the solution set of 2x by x plus 2 is greater than equal to x by x minus 2. Now guys, we know if I cross multiplying at this point, I'm not sure about the inequality side, because we know whenever we are taking something negative from this side to the other or from the other side to the left side, in case of inequalities, the inequality sign changes. So I cannot cross multiply. I won't say that I can take this x plus 2 there and I can take this x minus 2 here. No, that might give me a wrong answer. I'm not saying that would certainly give me a wrong answer, but it can give me a wrong answer. Okay, so we need to be very sure about it. How do we solve it then? I will be taking this entire fraction x by x minus 2 to this side. Okay, let's do it, then I'll explain it to you again. Okay, so please try understanding this. It would be 2x by x plus 2 minus x by x minus 2 greater than or equal to 0. Just like equations, I can shift things from here to there without changing the inequality sign. But if I multiply, I'm not sure about the value of x, so I don't know what would be the value, the mathematical value of x plus 2. If it would be negative, then if I'm taking this x plus 2 from here to here, I would have to change the inequality sign. I'm not sure about it, so I cannot go with that method. That can give you the correct answer at times, but not every time. So this is the method we would be sticking to. Okay. Now I will be taking the LCM. So this would give me x plus 2 and then x minus 2. We have 2x there, so I will be multiplying this part with x minus 2. So I'll be multiplying 2x with x minus 2. Then we have minus x and it would be multiplied by x plus 2. It's simple LCM stuff. That is greater than equal to 0. And then let me see if I have most. Yeah, I have space there. So I will be doing it on this side. Okay. Now it would give me 2x squared minus 4x minus x squared minus 2x divided by x plus 2 into x minus 2 can be written as x squared minus 2 squared. That would be 4, right? I hope you guys are clear with this. This is simple a plus b into a minus b thing. Now, what am I going to get? I would just simplify the numerator. So it would give me x squared minus 6x divided by x squared minus 4 greater than equal to 0. I'll just stay quiet for a few seconds. This question is extremely important. Just try understanding the fact that I did not cross multiply, because I cannot multiply a negative number from here to there. In that case, I need to change the inequality sign. I am not sure about the value of x, so I cannot do that. Whenever you have fractions and inequalities, make sure you take all the fractions on one side, simplify them, and then I'll tell you what things we need to do. For now, I'll stay quiet. Just understand how I have converted these two fractions into this one fraction. Okay. I'll just do one more step. In order to simplify, I'll take x common. And that is it. Okay. Please try understanding this and then I can explain it to you. Okay. I hope that you guys have no questions. Okay, now we are clear with this. We know that we have a fraction where both in the numerator and in the denominator we have the x term. I cannot take this x squared minus 4 from here to the right side and say it would be multiplied to 0 and it would become 0. No, that is the wrong method. You would get the correct answer, but you would not get the complete solution. You would be skipping the solution that you would have gotten from the x squared minus 4 part. Okay, so how do we do it? All right, now we know that this fraction should give you a positive answer. We will find all the critical values first by using the assumption x into x minus 6 equal to 0 and x squared minus 4 equal to 0. So this would give me x equals 0 and x equals 6, and this would give me x equals 2 and then x equals minus 2. So these would be the four critical points I would get. Now how do I choose? I will make a number line here. I'll use a different color in order to just make it more attractive. This is 0. Then we have minus 2, we have 2, and we have 6. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We have 5 intervals. We need to see which interval satisfies this. inequality. How would this inequality be satisfied? This inequality would be satisfied if both the numerator and denominator are negative, or if both the numerator and denominator are positive. Okay, let's pick up a value less than -2. Let's say I pick up -3. If I have -3 here, what would happen? It would become -3 and then -9. So the numerator is positive and the denominator would be 9 minus 4. So the denominator would be positive and the numerator would be negative, and in total this would give me a negative answer, which cannot be the case. So I need to think about it again. Okay. All right. -3 was the number. This would become negative. This would become negative, and in the denominator, when you would have x squared minus 4, this would be positive. Now, when you have negative and negative in the numerator, and when negative and negative is being multiplied, that would give you positive. Okay, so positive and positive would be positive, and this is good. This would give you positive. Things would make sense with time, do not worry. This would give you positive. Now what is happening between -2 and 0? I can take -1. So -1, this is, yeah. So -1 would give you negative, and this would also give you negative. And in the denominator, when you will have -1, this would also give you negative. So negative and negative would become positive, and denominator would be negative, right? So this would be an issue. The answer would be negative. From 0 to 2, you can take 1. You can think about it from here as well. This would give you 1 minus 6x. So this would give you negative. And then x squared minus 4 would also give you negative. So this would give you positive. And between 2 and 6, you can pick up 3. So 9 minus, it would be negative. And in the denominator, it would be positive. So this would be negative. And then you can pick up 7. So 7 is going to give you 49. And yeah, it would be positive divided by positive. So this would also be positive. So this means that the range is, we have three correct ranges. One is less than -2, then between 0 and 2, and then greater than 6. So this implies that the answer is going to be A in this case. Okay, I am going to explain this question again because I understand that this was a difficult question. Okay, now this did not have the mod in it. It wasn't quadratic, it wasn't linear initially. We had two fractions, and this is what you can see in the question. One thing I'm telling you again and again, you cannot cross multiply. Just understand that cross multiplication would not work every time, and you might get wrong answers. If you start cancelling out this x and x, you would get wrong answer. Okay, you cannot just cancel out the variable, you can cancel out the constants. So the only method is, you need to take this fraction from the right side to the left side. Okay, this is what we did in the first step. In the second step, I just simplified. In the third step, I simplified. In the fourth and fifth step, I simplified, and I got x into x minus 6 divided by x square minus 4. This entire fraction should be greater than or equal to 0. I need to find all the critical points. For finding the critical points, I equated the numerator and denominator equal to 0, and I got 4 points. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these 4 points would basically give me 5 intervals on a number line. I need to pick up a number less than -2, let's say -3. Number between -2 and 0, let's say -1. Between 0 and 2, 1. Let's say 3 and 7. Using these numbers over here, I need to see for which number this condition is being satisfied. This condition says it should be greater than or equal to 0, right? So it was being satisfied for the first one, third one, and fifth one. So I just use these intervals. That the first interval would be from minus infinity to minus 2, then between 0 and 2, and then from 6 to infinity, and that is why the answer was A. Alright, so this was the fourth question. Let's talk about some more questions. Okay, now we have the fifth question. What is happening in the fifth question? Things are similar. I have x squared minus 2 divided by 1 minus 2x. Okay, so I need to think about it. And how do we solve this? So I can just take this 1 from here to here, and I can write it as x squared minus 2 divided by 1 minus 2x, and then we have a minus 1 greater than 0. You need to make sure that the left side or the right side is empty and you just have a 0 there. Then 1 minus 2x would be the LCM. X squared minus 2 would come as it is, and then minus would be multiplied by 1 minus 2x. It would become minus 1 plus 2x. This would give me x squared plus 2x minus 3 divided by 1 minus 2x greater than 0. Then it would give me x squared. Now I need to solve this quadratic equation by middle term breaking. So I can write it as plus 3x minus x minus 3 divided by 1 minus 2x greater than 0. X plus 3 minus 1 x plus 3 divided by 1 minus 2x greater than 0. So you would get x minus 1 x plus 3 divided by 1 minus 2x greater than 0. Again, at this point, we have a fraction that is greater than 0. We need to find the critical values first, and then I'll tell you how to do it. Okay. All right. So let's keep it zoomed in. Okay. I'll be doing the additional steps here. So this would give me x equals 1, x equals minus 3, and x equals half. This is basically the three critical points I would be having. I can make the number line here. So I have minus 3, I have 1 by 2, and then I have 1. Now I need to think about it. Just pick up a number that is less than minus 3. Let's say minus 4. Minus 4 would give me a negative here. It would give me a negative here. So overall it would be positive, and it would give me a positive in the denominator. So it would be greater than 0. So this would be positive. Okay, now what is going to happen for the other cases? Okay, now we need to pick up a value between minus 3 and 1 by 2, and that value can be minus 1. When you have minus 1, what are we going to get? For minus 1, x minus 1 would be negative, x plus 3 would be positive, and 1 minus 2x would be positive, right? So this would give you negative. And then between 1 by 2 and 1, you can think about, let's say, 3 by 4. So 0.75 would give you a negative, a positive, and then again a negative in the denominator. So in total it would be positive. Okay, and then greater than 1, we can see the answer choices. We do not have any option that corresponds to this part of the range, so there's no point in checking that. The answer would be valid for minus infinity to minus 3, and then from 1 by 2 to 1. All right, okay. So this would be the answer. Now we can see that A is not the choice, B is not the choice. If we look at C and D, the only difference is in the brackets. So we will be going with C, because we know minus 3 and 1 by 2 and 1 would not be included. All the values between 1 by 2 and 1 and between minus 3 and minus infinity would be included. So the answer is going to be C in this case. All right, so these were some questions corresponding to the second last chapter of the NET math syllabus, that is quadratic inequalities. In case of any queries, any confusions, you can just stop me and ask me right now. I'll try answering you, or you can use the link in description to get yourselves enrolled for the live classes.